Hey, cool cats. We're back again. This is Paul.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Diego. Hi.
Diego's back. It's been a while, but everyone's here. And today we're talking about Double Masters. We had Double Masters before in the last video, but this time we're going to be talking about good cards from Double Masters, cards that we're glad are getting a reprint. And let's get into it.
Yeah.
So to start off with, I think I'm going to kick us off. I'm going to go with the Endless Atlas. So this is an artifact that it's only been printed, this is the first reprint. It was printed before in Commander 18. It's an artifact. You can put it in any deck. It only costs 2, and then you can pay 2 to draw a card. Activate this ability only any time you control 3 or more lands with the same name. So pretty much, to me, this is calling out mono white, maybe mono red like 3 years ago before they've pumped up mono red so much. But mainly, like, this is shouting out to me, like, this is a good way for mono white to get ahead. And since Commander 18 came out, we've seen them pushing mono white open a little bit with Mangara and some of the Commander 19 product. But still, I'm glad this card exists. If I happen to get my hands on it, I want to try it out. I think it's really cool. So that is a card that I'm glad got reprinted.
I like it. That's a good nod. Anytime you can help a player draw a card, you always feel a lot better, because just drawing one card a turn, like if you're playing against those green players, those black players, those blue players especially, you're going to fall behind fast. You're going to run out of gas. So having a nice cheap 2-drop that can help fill your hand up is so helpful.
Yeah, and like, you can put it in any monocolored deck too, and it just speeds it up a little bit better. It's a great 2-drop.
My favorite card is actually a creature. Oh, one of my top 3. It is a commander that I've played before, and just seeing him reprinted makes me kind of want to build him again. And it is Riku of the 2 Reflections. So he is 2 red, green, blue. So what's that? That's
Teamer.
Teamer. All right, so he's a teamer. You got to get on Team Riku. So this is really fun. So he is a human wizard. I'm not going to count that against him because his abilities are so good. So when you cast an instant or sorcery, you can pay a blue and a red, and you get to cast a copy of that spell for free. You get to fork and twin cast like anything you want. It's great. And he has the second ability where if a non-creature token enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay a blue and green, and you get a token copy of that creature. So he was like a nice little mascot for Double Masters because he's doubling everything.
Right.
And he's very versatile when it comes to building with him. You can go one route. You don't have to go both. You can if you want to be super ambitious. But you can make a spell saver deck. No problem. You can make a creature-based deck, just doubling all your creature triggers, entering the battlefield, leaving the battlefield. It's just fun. So, Commander, it's singleton, so you only get one copy of everything, but he kind of makes it feel like you have a little bit of redundancy in your deck. And just copying your spells, you're drawing double the cards, you're doing double the burn, you're getting double the pump. It's just a really fun reprint, I believe.
It's everything you pretty much want to be doing.
Right, and who doesn't like doubling their spells and making tokens? Everyone likes that.
Oh, yes.
They made the enchantment in the last core set 20, Double Vision, where you get to copy a spell, the first spell you cast for the turn. And I'm pretty sure it's not Riku. I was like, why didn't they put Riku on the picture there? It makes so much sense to put Riku there, but
right.
I'm pretty sure that's not him. But then the other thing I was wondering, when you're describing his abilities, so you got a blue-red ability, and you have a blue-green ability. Where's the green-red ability to copy your lands when you put them into play?
Land tokens.
I don't think... Wait, can we make land tokens yet? I don't know
Not
if
yet.
that's yet.
Not yet.
Can you put a Darksteel Citadel on the artifact duplicator thing. Does that work? I don't know.
Oh, to make land tokens. Yeah, you could probably do that.
There you go.
Oh, well, there you go. Jeez.
We did it.
Done.
And since we're on tokens, we'll get to one of my top 3 cards, Heat Shimmer. I was so happy it got reprinted because I think it's such an underrated card. It's 1 red and 2. It came from Lorwyn originally, sorcery. It says pretty much create a token of target creature on the field. And it gains haste, and also at the beginning of your end step, exile it. I think it's great because the first time I saw it being played was around the time where I first met Rob. And when I discover a new card, I say, my goodness, like this is not given enough credit. And it's not abused a lot, like you see Soul Ring and stuff. But I said, wow, I like cloning in red. That is so interesting because you can also expand on it by saying red has so many instances that can duplicate spells and sorceries. So with that being said, like it's not just limited to by itself. You can just also duplicate it and just go on and just expand it more, which I think is just great. And I'm a big fan of that card. So I think it's pretty useful.
Yeah, it's a cool card.
Riku definitely loves it.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So I've seen people play it recently in Girid. That's the general that can populate when it attacks. So you Heat Shimmer someone else's best creature, their general, their Consecrated Sphinx maybe. So you have a token of a Consecrated Sphinx. Then you attack with Girid. When he attacks, he gets to populate, which is make a copy of a token you control. You copy the Heat Shimmered Consecrated Sphinx, and now you have the Heat Shimmer goes away at end of turn, but you get to keep the one that he populated. So this is a way to really like take advantage of the creatures on the board. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a cool card.
Oh my God. Can you imagine someone with 2 Consecrated Sphinx? That's no.
It's already crazy enough when 2 people have them out at the same time, and then you just keep drawing until someone stops. And I've been through that situation. I'm like, I hope that never comes up again.
And they actually, in one of the Amonkhet sets, they made a card called Hate Mirage, which already kind of sounds similar to Heat Shimmer, like Shimmer, Mirage, Heat, Hate. Interesting. But anyway, this card costs 1 more. It costs 4, and you get to make 2 copies of creatures until end of turn, and they gain haste and all that. So if you are running Heat Shimmer, you might want to run the Hate Mirage also.
Oh, that sounds cool. Add to the flavor a little bit. Gotta add on to the heat, right?
Right.
If you can't stand the heat, concede.
Get out of Magic? I don't know.
I'm going to get a little darker on this one and talk about the Oobleyette, which did get reprinted. This card was printed all the way back in Arabian Nights, and they did not have the wording technology that they have now. If you look at the old Arabian Nights version, this thing is a wall of text. Anyway, they shortened it. They changed actually a little bit how it works. And so now this is a black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until Oobleyette leaves the battlefield, and then tap the creature as it phases back in. So this is kind of similar to, it's bringing something back that Commander has lost, which is a way to permanently deal with someone's commander. So they got rid of the tuck rule a while ago. They just recently changed it so that if your commander goes to the graveyard, you can put it back into the command zone too. Like, they're making it so that you always have access to your general. Oobleyette says no, and it's such a great thing that this is in black, because it's the color of like, I hate your general. I'm going to make sure you don't get it back for the rest of the game.
Oh, Jesus.
So what do you guys think about that?
That got dark really quick.
That is, because you have to think about it. It's not just removal. It's also like a mind game. And like, look, it's technically on the battlefield, but you can't touch it. It can't do anything. You can't save it. It's just like, just there torturing you. It's like a beautiful preprint. Beautiful, beautiful job, Wizards.
I mean, when they brought back phasing too, I was like, oh my God, it's that thing again. But yeah, like you're saying about Oobleyette, I'm like, I think it was just needed to get rid of a general another way. There had to be another way.
Right. I hope to get one, and then we'll see if you guys agree that it's such a good reprint after I play it on your channel.
Oh, test dummies.
Right.
Gosh, hold up that enchantment removal.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I might have a target for your Oobleyette, Paul. My second card is a mono blue creature this time. It is Deep Glow Skate. It is a beautiful little stingray that when he enters the battlefield, he doubles the amount of counters on any number of things that you want.
Oh,
and I mean, that's just a nice it's like a beautiful creature to have in Double Masters. I'm glad that it's getting reprinted because I would like the price to go down because I've been looking at it in those glass cases at my local game shops. And it's just like long, just like I'm pressing my nose against the glass, just like dreaming of one day having it in my deck. And so with this reprint, I'm hoping the price goes down and you guys will hopefully be seeing it.
Yeah, I think the price will go down. I think you'll be able to get your hands on that fish.
Double Master. There you go. It's all good.
Oh, right. That's why they put it in the set.
It makes sense, right? Whoa. But yes, doubling. That sounds cool. But, sometimes you got to put the hammer down. And the way I see it is Hammer of Lazan. I like that they reprinted that card. That card is so amazing. It's just a 4-drop legendary artifact equipment, already having a really cool ability. It says when it comes into play, or another equipment comes into play, you can attach it to target creature you control. Don't even have to pay equips or anything. It also gives it +2/+0 and indestructible, and of course 4 generic if you want to equip it by itself as well, if something like that. But having that said, like that hammer, I've been eyeballing it for a while too, and it was sitting at a $15, almost $20 range. And now I think it's dropping down a little bit more with its price. So it might be coming around like a $12 or $10 range, if, it depends on people's budget. But I think it's a great equipment. Most people focus on the swords, and that's good. Swords are amazing. If you have them, good for you. But like I'm saying, it's kind of a budgeted equipment to have the hammer. Just a really good artifact, a really good equipment they made.
I wouldn't mind putting that on my Deep Glow Skate, honestly.
How's that fish going to hold that hammer?
It has mouth parts. It can do something.
No, it's a really good equipment because it's like an enchantment or like a lord for your equipment. Like whenever you play your equipment, it gets to come in equipped now.
You just gotta drop that hammer, bam, just kill them all.
So something that can, I guess, deal with that hammer if it's too big of a threat is my final reprint for this video. I'm talking about the Council's Judgement. So what this one is this is a card that was printed in Conspiracy, which is a ways away back now. It costs 2 white and 1 for a sorcery. It has Will of the Council, which means it's a voting card. So it says, starting with you, each player votes for a non-land permanent that you don't control. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for the most votes. So that part is kind of important. Basically, what this does is you cast it, you target something. People can override you to exile what they think is most important, but they will never get to exile something you control, which is good because it'll never backfire on you.
It is a really good removal spell. So especially in a 3-player game, for 3 mana, you're removing 3 targets. Unless the other 2 people, like Paul, if you cast it and then you target one of my things, and Diego's like, oh yeah, and then like let's get this other thing Rob has. I'm just like, oh. It's like, well, I'm not gonna vote for one of my things. Diego, like you're gonna take my thing, I'm gonna take your thing now. So it can sow seeds of discord to try to make your opponents turn against each other because and then, okay, so then you get the argument. It's like, Diego's like, well, I have to do something. I'm not going to pick my own thing, so I'm going to pick your thing. It's just like, oh, Diego. Or, it could make your enemies, like, unite against you. It's like, all right, Paul, you're targeting my whatchamacallit. And I'm like, Diego, pick the same whatchamacallit because we're going to, like, team up and, like, we're going to take all of this advantage away from Paul.
Cards like that, like having political status in the game is so needed because there's so many situations you get into. You're like, all right, you do want to win, but at the same time, you don't want this other person to win, but you just want to be a little bit one step ahead of everyone else, but you don't want anyone else to know. But sometimes you do have to ally to victory. That's what it comes to, right?
And this was also a card that was pretty expensive in terms of where it was to what it's at now. You know, when you shave $10 off a price tag, that's a significant detail. So I didn't have that card. I might get that card now. We'll see.
Holy moly!
Right. It was pretty pricey. It was pricey.
Final card. I saved my favorite for last. So my number one card, reprinted in Double Masters, is Mesmeric Orb. Beautiful.
Ooh.
It is so beautiful. Like, you play it and you just want to look at it the entire game. For those of you who don't know Mesmeric Orb is an artifact for just 2 generic. You get something that has a very unique ability. Whenever a permanent untaps, its controller mills 1 card. Very, very simple. But for those who have not played against it, it can add up very, very quickly. So if I have a Mesmeric Orb out and you cast your 3-drop, you tap 3 lands, you put your, let's say, your creature out. When it comes back to your untap step, you're untapping 3 lands, and now you have to mill 3 cards during your upkeep. And you know what? In a commander game with 99 cards in your deck, you might not think that it's that big of a deal, and you can just totally ignore it and just keep milling your stuff. But for those who lose track, it can be very detrimental, especially in a singleton game where, like, you have 1 copy of the spell and then, now it's milled, now it's gone. Sorry. Dropping it very early is what I really like to do. So, the dream turn is turn 1, land, and then cast your Soul Ring, tap the Soul Ring, cast Mesmeric Orb, and now everyone's milling for every single land that they tap.
Milling people's resources too is just such an advantage, and if your deck revolves around it too, it's just like you just compliments. I've seen your deck in action many times, and oh boy, like I said, when it gets going, that orb is out, it just adds to, like, it just seals the deal. And I've seen that orb go into so much action. It was interesting to see it get reprinted as well.
Yeah, it's a great reprint because it's been such a long time since this was first printed. It's also an artifact, so it can go in any deck. So we've kind of been talking about how deck archetypes have been expanding as they're printing more cards. So if you want to play like Green Mill or whatever, like, you can do that because you just jam the orb in there, and I don't know what other cards you're putting in that deck, but basically this card goes in any deck that wants to mill or a graveyard based deck. You don't have to play blue to have access to your graveyard anymore.
Mm-hmm. It can backfire. If you're playing against like a Golgari deck that needs to fill their graveyard, you are enabling them, so you do run that risk. Right. You also run the risk of milling yourself. So I like to try and get around that by putting the Eldrazi Titans, where if you mill them, trigger, and then you get to shuffle your whole library your whole graveyard back into your library. So you got to be careful when you play this card.
The orb is amazing and all that. Now I have to get into my final card, my dark side of the thing. And we all like board wipes. I think sometimes a game needs a board wipe, and sometimes it's hard to get around stuff like Indestructible, and that can be such a pain sometimes. And I like a lot of board wipes that are minuses. Things like that was reprinted was Toxic Deluge, and I definitely love that card. It was hitting so expensive for a while. It was like hitting on 30 for the longest time. After a couple of reprints, and including this one, it did drop down. It's like I said, if people don't know what it is, it's a 1 black and 2 sorcery. In addition to paying its mana cost, you have to pay X life, and all creatures get -X, where X is equal to the life you lost, and so forth. And it's great because giving minuses to creatures is great. I think it's better than sometimes destruction because you just get past Indestructible. There's sometimes just things like that you have to get through. And I'm glad the price kind of dropped down a bit more because 30 was just too much. Just too much. And also, since I'm a fan of Richard Ferguson, that art is just beautiful that they did for it. Amazing. There's so much stuff going on in that picture. It's still kind of hard to tell what's actually going on, but it's like a big massacre or something. I don't know. But yeah, they're getting deluged. They're getting their toxic on. That's for sure.
Richard Kane Ferguson alternate art box topper is so cool. I'm glad. I think they brought him back when they had him do the Black Blade Reforged for the Gideon art, and then they turned a light bulb or something. They're like, wait a second, like people still like this guy? Yes, we do. Keep printing more cards with his art. And they did. So I'm glad they took that note. Toxic Deluge is a great card for his art style, I think. So definitely agree with you on making the price of that sweeper cheaper. Great black card.
I'm crying on the inside because there goes my Riku. There goes my Deep Glow Skate. It's so cheap. It's like, it's 2 and a black?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's 2 and a black, so like you're getting your army assembled. It's the beginning of the game. Like you're like you're getting all of your pieces on the board, and then like you're like, no, and then there goes Diego. Kills everything. I'm just like,
feels so safe because
okay.
board wipes don't happen until turn 4. Wait a second, is this turn 3 sweeper?
Right. Like you said, it's a cheaper sweeper sometimes because maybe there's like people with like little rascals. They're just putting out like 1/1s and stuff, and it's going to get out of hand. And you don't even have to put that life into it. Just put like 3 life into it, and then 3 mana, and that's it. And then you just all of a sudden kind of reset the game a little bit.
It's no big deal. It cleans up the mess. If they blew their hand out onto the table and they don't have a hand anymore, like perfect. That's your game to wipe up then. So I think we did it, guys. We got through. There actually are some good cards in Double Masters. I didn't know if we were going to find any, but we did. We made it through. So I guess I'll just see you guys next time.
All right. Later.
Good to be on the show again.